Join me as I challenge myself to spend a whole night in a pitch-black room, facing whatever spooky surprises come my way. The idea of turning off the lights and embracing the darkness can be terrifying for many of us. It's a primal fear that taps into our deepest anxieties, leaving us feeling vulnerable and exposed. But what is it about darkness that evokes such a strong reaction from us? One of the primary fears associated with darkness is, of course, the fear of the unknown. When we can't see what's around us, our imaginations run wild, conjuring up all sorts of monsters and predators lurking in the shadows. This fear is deeply ingrained in us, stemming from our early human ancestors who had to contend with real predators like lions and bears. Even though we no longer have to worry about those dangers in our daily lives, that instinctual fear remains, making us wary of dark spaces. Another fear that comes into play is the fear of confinement. When we're trapped in a small, dark space, our sense of claustrophobia can skyrocket, making us feel like we're suffocating or trapped. This fear is closely tied to our need for control and autonomy, and when we're deprived of those things, our anxiety levels can spike. And let's not forget the fear of being alone, which can be exacerbated by darkness. When we're alone in the dark, our minds can start to play tricks on us, making us feel like we're not really alone after all. But despite these deep-seated fears, many of us are drawn to the thrill and excitement of exploring dark and confined spaces. We watch horror movies, go on haunted house tours, and even engage in extreme sports like urban exploration. So what is it about darkness that's so alluring to us? Perhaps it's the rush of adrenaline we get from facing our fears head-on, or maybe it's the sense of accomplishment we feel when we emerge from the darkness, victorious and unscathed. I've had my fair share of scary room experiences, and I'm not alone. I've heard from many of you who have shared your own terrifying tales of darkness and confinement. There was the story of the family who moved into a new home, only to discover that it was haunted by a malevolent spirit that would often lock them in their bedrooms at night. Or the college student who woke up one night to find a dark figure looming over her bed, its presence so intense that she couldn't move or scream. One famous haunting that still sends chills down my spine is the story of the Bell Witch. This malevolent spirit was said to haunt the Bell family farm in Tennessee, tormenting them with physical attacks, strange noises, and even disembodied voices. The Bell Witch was so notorious that it even caught the attention of Andrew Jackson, who supposedly visited the farm to see if the rumors were true. What's particularly creepy about this story is that the haunting wasn't just limited to the family, it even extended to visitors who would often report strange occurrences when they spent the night. But the most intense story I've heard recently is about a group of friends who decided to explore an abandoned asylum on the outskirts of town. As they made their way deeper into the building, they started to hear strange noises and whispers, which they initially dismissed as the wind or their imagination. But then they stumbled upon a room that was completely pitch black, with no windows or doors. It was as if the room was designed to be a sensory deprivation chamber, where people would be left to rot in the darkness. The group tried to leave, but the doors were stuck, and they were trapped. That's when the real terror began, as they started to experience strange visions and hallucinations, feeling like they were being pulled into some kind of supernatural vortex. This story, like many others, highlights the deep-seated fears we have about darkness and confinement. It's a primal fear that's hardwired into our brains, making us feel vulnerable and exposed when we're trapped in the dark. But it's also a fear that can be exhilarating, pushing us to confront our deepest anxieties and come out on top. So, as we wrap up this video, I want to leave you with a sense of unease and uncertainty. Darkness can be a powerful trigger for our imaginations, conjuring up all sorts of monsters and terrors that lurk in the shadows. But it's also a reminder of our own resilience and bravery, as we face our fears head-on and emerge victorious on the other side. Thanks for watching, and if you have any scary room experiences you'd like to share, be sure to leave them in the comments below. And if you want to explore more paranormal events and spooky stories, be sure to check out my other videos and hit that subscribe button for more content. Horror Kingdom channel, real, imaginary, and exciting.